Hey guys, it's Tess from Latte Library and welcome to my March wrap up. March is over. March was probably like the longest month ever just because of everything that's gone on. However, I'm totally here and I'm going to do my wrap up a little bit differently just because normally I just go through it. This time I just want to focus more on the books that I really liked or that I found interesting because I definitely read some really interesting books. Really interesting, and I just wanted to chat with you guys about it more so than just being like, yes, I read this and this. This is more like a conversation. So welcome to my March conversation. I actually did this thing at work today where I wrote down the books I'd read, mini reviews, because I don't actually review books. I'm not sure why. I just don't review them. And this isn't good because then sometimes I forget what's happened or I think it's happened in a different book and I get confused, so I should definitely do them, but I have written them in this journal. So let's get started. I actually don't even know how many books I've read last month. We're gonna have a look right now on my Goodreads app because Goodreads is where I keep up to date with all of my books. Without it, I would be absolutely lost. I cannot believe I've only had Goodreads for I want to say this is my second year of having it seriously. It's crazy. Well, as my reading challenge, right? I have read 24 out of 80 books and I am 4 books ahead of schedule. In March, I read 8 books, although I finished one, so 8.5 books, and they kind of just went from thriller into romance. So you fantasy lovers, I'm sorry, I just haven't got there yet. So the first book I read was Good Girl, Bad Girl by Michael Robotham. I'm not too sure. I rated this 4 stars. I read it via audiobook and it is a thriller, mystery, suspense. I actually really enjoyed this book. I found it to be quite different to anything I've ever read before. One of the main characters, Evie, she's a very complex character. No one knows her age. She was found in a room, locked in there, and there's no information on her at all. No one knows anything. The novel is narrated by both that character and also a forensic psychologist. And it's really interesting because the way that these two characters come together and keep the story moving forward is almost genius. But it's really well done. I was shocked by this novel just because the twist. So you have Evie, the complex girl, Cyrus, the forensic psychologist, and then in between all that you have a murder. And these two kind of work together, but also work on their different paths. But then when it comes to the end, boom, man, holy crap. I was shocked. All I can say is shocked. But if you're into murder, twists, and great endings, I definitely recommend this book. Next, we had The Wife Between Us by Greer Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen. I read this via audiobook. I rated it 3 stars. I was slightly disappointed because I have read their work before and this is probably my least favorite so far. In saying that, I'm sure a lot of people would actually really quite enjoy it. Basically, you have a rich man trying to get his ex-wife to leave him and his new young fiance alone. Not bad. I'm sure lots of people would like it, so definitely get onto it if you like that sort of thing. Then I read Hate Notes by V. Keeland and Penelope Wood. I feel like that duo is who I would go for if I just need not an easy read, but a good read, I'm usually not disappointed. I rated this 4 stars, read via audiobook. I really enjoyed it. Next, I actually want to talk about those 2 authors in Park Avenue Player. Okay, yes, let me tell you something. Park Avenue Player sounds so cliche and cheesy, but goodness gracious, this book sent me on a roller coaster of emotions. There was a twist, and it was a really serious freaking twist, and holy shit, I was wow, this is real, okay? Anyway, they're what are you talking about? And I'm okay, wait, look, I wanted romance this month, right? And Park Avenue Player, take the title away. I read the synopsis, and you should just read the synopsis. This is so you have the boss, and then you have the employee, and they start off, it's basically enemies to lovers, and it is brilliant. But then there is a twist that, I just want to talk about it. If you've read this book, talk to me about it because it is crazy, but it has a twist that just crushes your brain, your heart, everything. It is heartbreaking on so many levels, and it's just nothing like I've read before. It's just to the core, but I loved it, and I really hope that if you like to read romance, you would give this book a go because it is so good. It really is. Next, I continued on my romance, but I took a dip into some paranormal romance and read Slave to Sensation by Nalini Singh. I actually read one of her series ages ago and loved it. However, Slave to Sensation book 1 was interesting. I listened to it via audiobook, but I rated it 3 stars. I just couldn't really connect the characters. I thought the base of the story was really well done. Great concept, but if you're into super steamy paranormal romance, definitely give it a go. Alright, looks like I stopped there, but I'm not finished. So then I read Dear Ava by Ilsa Madden Mills. Well, this was a college type romance. This has a trigger warning. So this girl got raped and she doesn't remember any of it, but you've got the girl and she used to be part of this really cool like sport group. Like the football players are like the Sharks. Anyway, she went through hell. No one believed her because the Sharks and their like families are all tied up in the high status people, so who's gonna believe her anyway? It's very, I would definitely say, enemies to lovers, which is probably one of my favorite tropes ever. But it also shows like the relationship between brothers, which I found really interesting and heartwarming, but also heartbreaking. Definitely a good read though. I rated this 4 stars and I would definitely recommend it for those who are willing to try it. Okay, then I read another romance, not even sorry, Devious Lies by Parker S. Huntington. Oh my god. Yeah, right, okay, this book. All right, let me get comfortable. I'm just gonna read one bit to you and then we'll go from there. I had a plan to escape the friend zone. Step 1, sneak into Reed's room. Step 2, sleep with him. But when the lights turned on, it wasn't it wasn't familiar blue eyes I saw. These were dark, angry, and full of demons, and they belonged to Reed's much older brother. Now you hear that and you're like, oh yeah, but I listened to it via audiobook, and let me tell you, I was sitting at work listening to this and I was cringing so hardcore. I tried not to laugh out loud. The storytelling was very well done and I just felt so, like, it was just so bad. Like, I would hate doing that situation. Oh, it's just so cringe. Anyway, so the story is basically set like a few years from that moment. They have a couple of chapters where it is based in the past, because then that links to the future or the present. I enjoyed this book. There were a lot of cringe moments like that where I'm just like, oh, but it was cool. It was good. But this story also got to me because at some point the girl, like as a child, she was like, her family was rich and everything, and then she went down with her dad's work, and then she just hates her mom, so she's just homeless. And the way that it's described and everything is quite authentic in my opinion, and it's not about like the way she handled it. It was never about her being like poor me, pity me. It was just about her like showing her strength while she was that way, and I loved it. I would definitely recommend it. It was so good. Even if it was cringe at the start, it was so good. So yeah, I rated that 4 stars. And my last read for March was Brutal Prince by Logan Fox. I know, right? Brutal Prince. Sometimes when you go onto Amazon or Kindle Unlimited, you just seem to find some sort of like weird stuff, or no, not weird, but like less mainstream things. And this book was one of them. This book is under the genre bully romance. I've never read anything like it. I feel weird that I surprisingly liked it. It was interesting, so weird. In like late high school, I think. And yeah, this guy's a bully to her, and just the things he thinks of and the things that he thinks, and then her life is messed up, and then you have this other character who's just so messed up in the head. Like, this book is trigger warning. Like, if you like tragic shit, this book is for you. And I liked it because it just made me feel things and like get emotional, and it was just a tragic mess of goodness. I rated it 3 stars because I didn't know what to rate it. I don't know how you would rate this, but it was crazy. Like, the things that you find and the things that you read, like, you just couldn't believe it was real. I read it via Kindle because I'm too broke to buy an audiobook right now, but wow, it was crazy. Like, I'm going to do a review on this book where I talk in depth about it because I like these videos to be completely spoiler free. But yeah, wow, if you've never looked up bully romance, I totally recommend it. Just for something new, do it. You probably won't regret it, or maybe you will, and it's cool. Like, I had a really good reading month considering I'm still working, thankfully, so I still have to go to my work and everything every day, but I'm still somehow reading, and that is totally awesome. Hopefully this month there is like a fly hanging around. Anyway, hopefully April is a good reading month as well, because there are so many things I want to read. Like, I genuinely do. And now that I have explored this new area to romance, I'm totally here for it. Let's give it a go, and I will see you in my next video. See ya!